Many delegates at this conference at Wilton Park in southeast England believe doubling the world's food production over the next 30 years is vital. According to these agricultural experts, it's the only way forward to feed a predicted population increasing to 9 billion by the mid-2040s.
Can we feed the world in a climate change era? Business as usual, as far as I'm concerned, will not suffice. We need major changes in trade policy. We need pro-poor trade policies. We need to change technologies. We have many technologies that will move us in the right direction, but we will need some new technologies, but they've got to be environmentally sustainable, and we need to have some new practices where we bring together indigenous and traditional knowledge with knowledge from universities. We need to put the farmer in the middle.
Africa has been identified as an area likely to suffer from increases in temperature due to alleged climate change, with predictions of 75% of the future population going hungry.
Climate change and trade, there's a little bit more to it. A lot of the hunger in the world is not necessarily no food, it's the ability to buy food. I think the biggest problem we have in Africa at the moment, apart from climate change, is poverty. How do we ensure that people have the money and the ability to buy food? It's not the accessibility of food per se.
Droughts didn't start with climate change, neither did floods, neither did hurricanes and cyclones. So we have evidence of what works. What we need to do is build on lessons learned, bring in programs to, for example, raise schools and houses in areas where there's excessive flooding. Areas where there are drought, we can bring in programs of land terracing, soil conservation, conservation farming, so people can produce food even with a lack of rainfall, and other programs that are really practical and actually make a difference in people's lives in the most remote corners of the world.
Climate change may be high on the conference agenda, but trade agreements play an equally major role in feeding the world and maintaining economies.
As we move forward, we're going to have to double food production in the next 25 to 50 years. We've got to recognise the food needs to be more nutritious. It has to be affordable, and the challenge is how do you make it affordable to the consumer, but at the same time allow the farmer to make a profit. So we need agricultural science and technology to allow us to produce the food more economically, so both the farmer gains and the consumer gains.
This three-day conference is an opportunity for world experts to discuss controversial subjects like biofuels and political change.
Well, I think it's very interesting that agriculture is impacted by the three great challenges that exist right now: the global financial crisis, food security and climate change. I mean, agriculture is at the centre to one degree or another of all those three crises, and so we're at a time of perhaps too much excitement, a great deal of volatility occurring, a great deal of unknowns to be dealt with.
Over the next 100 years, land areas will warm more than the oceans, the high latitudes more than the tropics. There is absolutely no doubt that you cannot explain the observed change in climate on natural phenomena alone. That is, say, changes in solar output, change in volcanic activity. Indeed, it is very certain, greater than 90% certain, that most of the observed change in the last 50 years is attributable to human activities.
Experts believe production is likely to increase in high-output countries, but speakers here warn that the increase may not meet the ever-hungry world demand.